Okay, after demonstrating about operators, today we're going to continue with selection statements. Okay, selection statements. Why selection statements? Because in several cases in life, let's say I prepare a picture here. In several cases in life, you need to decide to turn left, to go straight, or turn right. In programming as well, in several cases, you need to decide which block of code to be executed depending on several of the conditions. And the most frequently used statement is if, and in this case I'm not going to show you in C or Java because it's going to be, or C Sharp, but it's going to be common for everything. So I'm just going to explain in theory, and I'm going to do the demonstration next part. So let's say the most frequently used one is the if statement, and normally the if statement going to have some conditions here. Then if that statement is true, it's going to execute one or several of the statements inside this code block. Okay, execute statements. And if the condition is evaluated to be false, then this statement is not going to be executed. Okay, this statement is not going to be executed. You're going to run this one, going to check condition. The condition is an expression. Condition here is an expression. As long as its values or the expression to be evaluated as a Boolean values is true or false. If this one is true, this statement won't be executed. Inside this own statement, inside this code block, how do I say code block? It's within the correct bracket, won't be executed. Otherwise, it will not be executed. That one is the if, the case of the if. Several times you can have if then else statements, like you can have if the conditions is true, then you're going to execute some statements. Else means if it is not true, you're going to execute other statements. Okay, you're going to execute other statements here. So this one again is still an expression to be evaluated as true or false. If it is true, it's going to execute this statement. If it is not true, means it's false, then it's not going to execute this one, but it's going to execute this one instead. In several of the other cases, you can also have the case like if the conditions multiple conditions, then you're going to execute statements one. Okay, else you can check another condition. Else if condition 2, okay, you can, if in this case if the condition 1 is not true, okay, if the condition 1 is true, it's going to execute this one. But if the condition 1 is not true, it's going to run the condition 2. And if the condition 2 is true, it's going to execute the statements, a set of statements number 1 and set of statements number 2. And else if is you can continue to have else if is more. And if in this case this one is false and this one is false, then else is going to be executed. This one is going to execute statements number 3. That one is about if statements. Let's just give some example. Like let's just give some example like if you have int x equal to 10, then int y equal to 3 again. And if you're going to execute this, if x greater than y, okay, you're going to display like x is greater than y, then this one won't be executed because 3 is greater than 10 is to be evaluated as true. Okay, but if you add if x smaller than y, okay, then you say x is smaller than y. Then in this case x is smaller than y is not going to be executed because 10 is not smaller than 3, or 10 smaller than 3 evaluated to be false. Okay, so in this case you can check else x is greater than or equal or equal to 3. This statement will be executed because this one is evaluated to be false. Then this is not executed, but it's gonna execute the else here. So it's going to execute x is greater than or equal to 3. Okay, you can check also if x smaller than 3. Okay, then x smaller than y, then it's going to display x is smaller than y. Then you can also check else if x equal to y, you're going to display x is equal to y. And if both of them are not true, it's going to execute the statement which is x is smaller than y. In this case, you see 10 smaller than 3 is false, so this one is not executed. Then it's gonna try this one. 10 equal to 3 is not true either, so this one is not executed. So it's gonna try this one else, means it's gonna execute x is smaller than y. Okay, that's it. I will do the demonstration next section. And for the selection statement, there is one more kind of important selection statement, which is a switch. In several cases, you need to check for multiple values. Okay, for many values, if you keep doing if else, it's gonna be very difficult to read. So in that case, it is best to use the switch. Okay, example of the switch is something like this. If you would like to control a fan speed, it can be off, it can be 1, 2, 3, 4, and the full speed in this case, let's assume it's number 5 here. So if you do the if else, it's fine, but you need to check if 0, if 1, if 2, if 0, else if 1, else if 2, else if 3, else if 4, else if 5, okay, so on and so forth. It's gonna be very difficult to write and also difficult to read your code. So normally in this case, you're going to use switch. Okay, so normally is switch is you're going to switch on some values or expression to be evaluated as a values. Okay, then if the case is 1, okay, if the case is some values number 1, then you're going to do something. Okay, do something or do some statements. Then after a set of these statements for 1, you're going to break. Remember to break. If you don't break, it's going to continue execute the other things. Then case is v2. Then statements, set of statements 2, set of statement number 2. Then remember also to break. Okay, case values number 3. Okay, then it's gonna run set of statement number 3. Then break. So on and so forth. You can have case 4, case 5, case 6, and you can write very long with several more cases in a shorter ways and easier to read code. Especially there is a keyword which is default. Okay, default here means if it is not value number 1, if it is not value number 2, or it is not value number 3, then it is default. Okay, and if it's default, you're going to run the statement for defaults. Okay, statements number defaults. Okay? Then you need to break to. Okay, so again in this case you're going to switch or you check the values here, and if that values is v1, you're going to run this statement 1 and then finish. If it is v2, you run statement 2 then finish. If it's v3, if value is v3, run set of statements 3 and then you finish. If that values is not v1 or v2 or v3, means it's default, it's going to run this set of statements, then it's going to finish. Let's just give an example. If you declare int x equal to 4, and then you now need to check switch on x, and the case 1 you're going to display fan speed is 1. Okay, then you're going to break. Okay, and then case 2 you're going to say fan speed is 2, then break. If case is 3, you're going to say fan speed is 3, Then you're going to break and finish. And default means you can continue to simulate this one with 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, let me just put case 0 here as well. Case 0 means fan is off. Okay, then you're going to do break. Okay, then you can continue, but then default mean not 0, 1, 2, 3. In this case, I'm going to say it's invalid input, and I'm going to do break. So in this case, if x equal to 4, it's going to check x equal to 4, check on the values x is actually equal to 4. It's not 0, not 1, not 2, not 3. So it's going to be default. So it's going to say invalid input. So if you put x equal to, let's say, 3, then it's not 0. So it's skip this one. It's not 1. Skip this one. It's not 2. So it skips this one, but it is equal to 3. So it's going to run fan speed is 3. Okay, so it's going to run fan speed is 3 because this one x is equal to 3. So on and so forth. So on and so forth. You can check more condition, or you can change the values here. If I put the values is 0, you're going to see it's going to check on that values x equal to 0, and case it is 0. Okay, it's going to display fan is off. Okay, then it's going to break, means the output is fan is off. Okay, and next session I'm going to write some code to demonstrate all the things here.